.228 the ERA. And she'll take on a South Dakota State lineup that looks a little something like this. Mia Jarecki will be stationed at the top of the order as she has for the last 2 years. Kayla Barnard, a freshman, then Emma Osmundson's having a tremendous year. Lindsay Culver, big jump this year as well. The Carrillo sisters, Rosalind and Jocelyn, batting 5th and 6th. Dumont, the catcher, Williams, the DP, and Cheyenne Masterson, the third baseman, rounding things out. Culver's 25 RBI lead the Jackrabbits to this point this season. So a formidable test, to be sure, for Gooden and the Seminoles. Jack, a veteran-laden bunch, senior-heavy. They're a program that has won the last 3 Summit League regular seasons, and they got bounced in the Summit League tournament, didn't make the NCAA tournament, but they won the 2 prior and made it to the regionals.
Yeah, and this is a team that's used to facing giants like they're going to get with Florida State today. We mentioned they played Duke before. And last season, they played a numerous amount of top 25 opponents. So they don't shy away from top competition, and you'll see it in both games today.
Last year, they knocked off a top 25 Baylor. This year, they knocked off a top 25 Arkansas in Fayetteville. They're looking to double down here against the Seminoles this afternoon. Derek Wilkins will call the balls and strikes. Craig Hyde will be at first. Dwayne Henry will be stationed at third for us this afternoon as Gooden and the Noles get set and are now underway at Joanne Graff Field. Ball 1 out of the gates to Mia Jarecki, an experienced table setter who does it well year in, year out. For the Jackrabbits, comes in batting .378, does Jarecki. Junior from Nebraska. Two 2-0 the count. First strike for Gooden. And Jack, going back to Mimi Gooden, it's something that Lonnie Alameda told us before the season even began. She said, this is a girl who has always wanted to be part of this program, and sometimes the moment may be a little big for her as a freshman, but you just kind of ride the highs and the lows and you let her develop. A lot of folks remember Catherine Sandercock, Megan King, Lacey Waldrop for what they did as juniors and seniors, and they forget that they had to start off somewhere. And so this is the process for a young Mimi Gooden here today.
Absolutely, and it's one of these moments that you're seeing right here, getting the start in the circle, and a good test for her still against this Jackrabbit squad. But to your point, Sean, yeah, these moments, fans are going to forget down the road when a couple years later she's found herself even more, and you're seeing the player she truly is out there.
Count now runs full to Mia Jarecki, who has 8 walks and 15 strikeouts, has gotten on base north of 40% of the time, an OBP of .424. Good battle here. She fouls that one away. Jarecki, a junior, one of 8 upperclassmen in this lineup. I mentioned that they are senior laden. They've got 6 seniors, 2 juniors, and just the one freshman, Kayla Barnard, who will be in the on-deck circle here and making her way to the plate. That's inside. Jarecki is stationed at first.
Hands are right, Mimi. And ladies, watch the deal. Here we go. Here we go. Shake it off.
Christina McSweeney making her way out of the visiting dugout to have a word with our home plate umpire, Derek Wilkins. Back underway here momentarily. McSweeney, in her first year in Brookings, was the 2023 Summit League Coach of the Year. The Jackrabbits went 17-0 in Summit League play before getting knocked out of the conference tournament by Omaha. Here's the freshman Barnard. First pitch to her upstairs. It's ball 1. Barnard hails from Cabot, Arkansas, one of several players from the state of Arkansas. Coach McSweeney telling us it was particularly sweet for that handful of players to go into Fayetteville and come away with a win. They nearly came away with 2, in fact. Suffered a heartbreaker to the Razorbacks before beating them. They're a confident bunch.
No doubt about it. And I love what they said, too. It's a good little South Dakota team trying to put our team on the map.
Well, they're certainly well on their way. 2-0, that one's fouled off by Barnard. Caleb Barnard, one of 2 players in this lineup that can go 2 ways. She also pitches for the Jackrabbits, and in fact, we were told by McSweeney that she likely will come in at some point here in this first game as a reliever. Got underneath that one. Jason Beecham, the freshman on the hot corner, makes the play in foul territory. 1 away for Gooden and company.
Beecham's been great at the hot corner, easy to come in and get underneath that pitch, but also good job from Mimi Gooden up in the zone. Gets Bernard to go after it and put it up into the sky.
And so that brings up Emma Osmundson. Osmundson is having a tremendous year, and that's a great first pitch by Gooden.
Really good first pitch from Gooden, but yeah, you said it, Sean. And tremendous may not even be enough to say it so far. She's been incredible. Just take a look at those numbers. Batting .390, second on this team in home runs. Also 11 doubles for her squad. That's leading the way by a large margin.
Put it another way, too, for those of you at home. South Dakota State has played in 27 games. Osmundson has recorded at least 1 hit in 21 of those.
When you look at it, too, for Osmundson, she's actually been slowing down a little bit in the past couple of games. Only 1 hit in her last 5, but a phenomenal beginning of this season.
Got into that one out to right field. There to make the play, though, is Hallie Waycaser, a couple steps shy of the track. Big out for Gooden.
Big out is right. Osmundson got a good piece of that.
And that'll bring up Lindsay Culver. Culver, who, as we mentioned, is the RBI leader for the Jackrabbits. Hails from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Gooden's really starting to find that strike zone, finding those spots, establishing the inside part of the plate to Culver there, strike 1.
And that's the biggest thing for the freshman, too. You saw the first at-bat of the game, 2 quick balls. Now the last 2, she's getting ahead quickly in these counts.
0-2. Culver last year batting .321, was a Summit League honorable mention player. Was also previously on the conference first team back in 2021. But swings and misses at that offering by Gooden.
And Sean, yeah, great season last year. Awesome down the stretch. Was a Summit League all-tournament team, but this year's been a little bit up and down, but coming off a top performance versus Kennesaw State, looking to continue today.
And she gets to work against Florida State's longtime staple at the top of the order, Kaylee Mudge. Mudge came into the year with an ankle injury, wasn't quite 100%, and so has missed a few games as she's worked her way back. And worked her way back she has, right back to the top of the order in front of Jason Beecham, who now bats second with a .477 batting average that ranks in the top 20 in D1 softball. Harding, Edenfield, Torres, Ross, Waycaser, Harp, and Flaherty round things out through the batting 9.
Not a bad number for a freshman.
Yeah, I'd say so. As she awaits in the on-deck circle for Florida State. There's Jasony waiting in the wings. But man, Kaylee Mudge. Hard to describe the value of a player who's quite literally done a little bit of everything in her time here at Florida State. Been to the World Series twice, but on the World Series all-tournament team twice, and she kicks things off with a leadoff walk.
That's what she does so well. So mature at the plate, able to draw the walk, and love to see her back up and healthy and at the top of that Seminoles batting order.
All ACC last year, preseason All ACC to kick off 2024. She's stationed at first. Didn't see a strike. Jason Beecham steps in, and that's 5 consecutive balls out of the gates by Lacey. Beecham, the freshman from Tallahassee, has lived here, moved to Alabama, came back, has been coming to camps here at the Seminole Softball Complex for many years. Since she was a middle schooler, in fact, bleeds garnet and gold and has made the most of her opportunity, at least to this point this year. We mentioned the batting average being at .477, on base percentage north of 500, positive walk to strikeout ratio. The power numbers are there. Has recorded a flurry of home runs over the last handful of games, and she hasn't seen a strike yet either.
And that's the biggest thing, I think, for Jason Beecham, Sean, is in 40 at-bats as a freshman, you've seen the numbers, the average, only 1 strikeout. And for a freshman, you don't see that often. That just shows who Beecham is at the dish.
First strike of the game for Lacey comes on the 3-0 offering to Beecham, and you're absolutely right. 1 strikeout for a freshman this deep into the season. Incredibly impressive as Christina McSweeney looks on. She works with the pitchers in Brookings. And then her counterpart there, Josh Berkey, will work with the hitters. There's another walk, and Beecham will be stationed at first. And so Christina McSweeney is already out into the circle. Florida State will huddle up with Travis Wilson, their assistant coach, who mans the third base side. Good start for Florida State, who, as we mentioned, trailed early in every game in Fort Myers, worked their way back in 4 of the 5, did drop a contest to FGCU, then ended up getting their revenge and finished off the tournament down in Fort Myers with a win over the Eagles. And there's Florida State's head coach. Team 41 for Lonnie Alameda, who has reached 5 of the last 9 Women's College World Series, won the Natty in 2018, a recent NFCA Hall of Fame inductee, and for good reason. She's done a ton of winning, closing in on 900 in her career, in fact. Just 11 away, in fact, for Lonnie Alameda. Kaylee Harding pulling ahead early in the count. And as formidable as she is in the box, I think that's a staple too. Seeing her blow a bubble as she steps in. The senior batting .343 on the year, 5 home runs, 21 RBI. Good opportunity to do a little damage here perhaps for Harding.
Always with the bubble gum is Kaylee Harding. You love it, but such a big piece for Florida State in that 3 spot. She's been there all season long for the Noles.
Harding without a hit in the last 2 games that Florida State has played, and in fact, in their previous 20, has not recorded a hit in 7 of them. But despite that, when you look at the other 13 that Florida State's played, she's recorded 2 or more in 9 of those.
Yeah. And that just shows Kaylee Harding right there. So many multi-hit games. A great start to her season, as you said, Sean. A little slowing down a little bit as of late, but a good spot for her with 2 on.
When you look through the FSU record books, through all the offensive numbers, career records, you'll find Harding's name penciled in a lot of places. 5th in doubles with 49, tied for 6th in home runs with 36, 8th all-time in slugging percent, and 6th in RBI with 164.
Maybe what makes Kaylee Harding so special is we talk about what she does hitting, but defensively. No many players like her in softball that can play so many different positions on the field.
Yeah, she has been rock solid over the years for Florida State. Of course, today she's the DP and she does what she does. Having a productive plate appearance, they call them QPAs here in Tallahassee. And FSU, right out of the gates, has the ducks on the pond. Mudge, Beecham, and Harding third, second, and first, and that sets the table for Michaela Edenfield. And Jack, the real problem here is you've got Edenfield, who's been red hot at the plate, and you've got nowhere to put her.
No, that's super tough right now for Lacey. Trying to find the zone right now, but you got Michaela Edenfield up, coming off of a grand slam, and it's very tough out.
Edenfield, one of 6 players at Florida State to have 2 50 RBI seasons. She's one of 3 to start her career off with 2 50 RBI seasons. The other 2, Jessie Warren, Sydney Sherrill. You can't have a conversation about FSU softball without those 2 names popping up.
No doubt, and great names and company to be in with Michaela Edenfield, that's for sure.
All recent, too. Warren a part of the 2018 National Championship team. So too was Sherrill, as a matter of fact. Sherrill part of that 2021 runner-up team that Edenfield herself was on, but redshirted that year. And there you see the national championships emblazoned on Florida State's new hospitality area. They include the 81 and 82 AIAW national championships here, and rightfully so. At the time, the AIAW was the entity that sanctioned softball back in its slow pitch days, and Florida State amongst the very best in the country under Dr. Joanne Graff. And Dr. Graff shepherded the program into the fast pitch era, and Coach Alameda has run with the torch. And Florida State, meanwhile, has done a lot of walking. Edenfield walks in a run, and the Noles strike first.
Just patient again from Florida State. Lacey with the arm side attacking inside on Edenfield. That'll be a new pitcher for the Jackrabbits.
Christina McSweeney conversing with Derek Wilkins, our home plate umpire, making some tweaks to the lineup because the DP is now the pitcher. Alexa Williams steps into the circle for South Dakota State. 4 consecutive walks to kick this game off for Shannon Lacey. Williams, the senior from Lincoln, Nebraska, steps into the circle, a player who is expected to maybe check in relief in game 2, now doing so here today in game 1.
Yeah, really see her mostly in these relief situations for Williams, but lots of movement on her pitches, going to try and get Torres and other Seminole batters to chase, and you see the stats from her this season.
Yeah, 12th appearance today, sub-4 ERA, and just on those first 2 pitches, you can see the movement by Williams. It's a 1-1 count to Torres, and I think it's worth mentioning too, Jack, that obviously a tough start for South Dakota State. Williams checking in, their second pitcher here of this first inning. Torres, soft liner into foul territory. That'll live to see another one. But the Jacks were expecting Tori Kanishi, who is their all-everything pitcher who likely will set all kinds of pitching records in Brookings by the time her career is over, to start. Had some sort of injury just minutes before we came up on the air. There was some question as to, is she going to pitch anyway? Are we going to go to somebody else? So this is fresh news and fresh arms for South Dakota State. And Torres grounds that ball into the outfield and plates a couple more for the Noles.
Good piece of hitting from Issa Torres, the freshman, as all the freshmen for Florida State have been doing this season. The first hit today for the Noles, just off the end of the barrel, right up the gut, able to score 2.
2 RBI single for the freshman Torres. That brings up Amaya Ross. And if I may go back to Kanishi, we don't know exactly what the injury is. All of that information came in late. We certainly wish the best for her. We've got another game. Maybe she'll be okay and is able to pitch in game 2. Obviously, our friends from Brookings would love to see that. And certainly you hate to see a player get hurt. Force applied at third. That'll get Edenfield out number 2 for South Dakota State, off the fielder's choice by Amaya Ross.
Yeah, and I just hope Kanishi is okay. And again, see what you said too, Sean. There was a chance that she actually would have came and started. Still, they're working through some things. That's why you saw Lacey to start this game in the circle. But it's so tough for any pitcher to have to go out on a moment's notice, especially against a batting order like Florida State's.
The Noles already have put across 3 runs as Kanishi looks on. Again, fingers crossed for her moving forward. Hallie Wakehazer stepping in. She bats 7th for Florida State. Torres off the 2 RBI single, stationed at first. Ross off the fielder's choice, stationed at first. And Wakehazer pulls that one foul. Hallie, a gap-to-gap player for the most part, who has hit for average quite well over the course of her career and has sneaky pop. Sneaky, great word, because last year had 4 home runs on the year. This year quietly already has 5.
Yeah, and that's tied for the top with Michaela Edenfield for Florida State. That's to your point, Sean. Sneaky pop in her bat, just got ahead of that last pitch beforehand.
Came out of high school as a 2-time Arkansas Player of the Year. Promptly tore her ACL in the run-up to her freshman season. Long road back for Wakehazer. That's a hot shot to the hot corner. And that's a nice play at third by Masterson, collecting the bobble to record the out at first.
You don't see that all the time from Masterson, but good job to stick with it. An experienced defender at the hot corner for the Jackrabbits, able to keep it down in front, get to it, and make the throw in time.
That does move both runners into scoring position. And Kennedy Harp swings away. Uptick in work for Harp, who's getting the start in center field for Janai Kerr, who has now missed the last 3 games, now make it 4, who we are told is day-to-day with a knee injury. We certainly hope, keeping in spirits with what we hope for Kanishi, that she gets back soon and gets healthy. Janai Kerr, a special player for Florida State that a lot of folks around the softball world would love to see get back sooner rather than later. In the meantime, it's Harp, and she's done pretty good for herself to this point this year. Had a home run down in Fort Myers. A handful of hits to this point this season for Harp.
Yeah, you say Kerr is a special player. Harp will be a special player for Florida State as she grows in her career, but a great opportunity for her to get a start today and last game as well.
And she just held off there. Could have been strike 3. Instead, it'll be ball 2. And Williams will continue to work in relief.
Try to hold off.
Took one more, but Williams fans her anyway. Harp is heading back to the dugout, but Florida State Seminoles, it has been a strength under Lonnie Alameda year in, year out. They've placed top 20 nationally in team ERA every year since 2012, top 10, in fact, 7 times. There have been 7 ACC Pitcher of the Years. This year, though, a lot younger staff, even players who have come back being in different situations than which they're familiar with. The numbers a bit inflated, but they're working their way through some things as they make their way into conference play.
Yeah, and that graphic will tell you everything you need to know about head coach Lonnie Alameda. Yeah, the ERA is a little bit down, but head coach Alameda, she's textbook when it comes to studying for another team and getting her team prepared. I mean, she's one of the best pitch callers for her pitching staff in this game. And you got to look, you're only 20 games into a season. It's still early, a lot to work out, and there's no doubt that Lonnie Alameda knows what she's doing out there.
Without a doubt, if there's somebody who's going to crack the code, that is the odds-on favorite right there in that home dugout. Nice swing, line drive out to left field. That is corralled by Kaylee Mudge. Rosalind Carrillo put a charge into that one. Now with her retired, her sister Jocelyn will step in. In fact, there are 3 sisters on this team. I've seen sisters over a period of time, they didn't necessarily play with each other, make their way through a program. One that sticks out to me is Florida's volleyball team with the Montserrat girls over a period of time. There were 3 of them that played there in Gainesville, but I've never seen 3 on one roster at one time. 2 of them in the starting lineup, Jocelyn. Obviously, all of them from Palmdale, California. Jocelyn's batting .213 to this point this season.
Yeah, and just brought the third sister too, Kiara Carrillo from Fresno State. To have all three, it's just, to your point, Sean, it is a really cool situation to have three sisters on the team, especially two being older and leaders for this team.
Yeah, and every single one of them, Coach McSweeney describes really as workhorses. They're quiet, they get after it, they grind things out, and they just roll up sleeves and get to work.
I love the story they told us about playing against Fresno State, where the area they're all from, and they said it was pretty much a home game when you have almost 50 family members coming out to watch.
Ground ball here to Torres, and Jocelyn is retired by the freshman. Good start to the second inning here for Gooden, and she'll now square off with Brooke Dumont, the junior catcher. One of a few different catching options for the Jackrabbits, and who is slated to obviously catch this game. We'll see about game 2. They might go somewhere different in the backstop, but for now it's Dumont who jumps on the first one and lines it foul. A number of players from Nebraska on this roster. Dumont batting .265, 4 runs driven in. Only way to do that here in this AB is for home run number 2 to occur.
Yeah, Dumont, talk about the hitting, but she's also great behind the plate as well. Really good arm. Got a lot of runners last season, especially down the stretch in the tournament for the Jackrabbits.
1-1 the count to Dumont. Above the zone, it goes 2-1 for Mimi Gooden. South Dakota State looking for a little 2-out magic courtesy of its catcher. It'll be Alexa Williams, perhaps set to bat next. She started off as the DP, and as a matter of fact, she now does make her way to the on-deck circle. Mimi Gooden, meanwhile, looking for strikeout number 2 through the first couple of innings.
This is the spot where Gooden likes that off-speed too, down in the zone. Got a strikeout in the first inning that way.
She ended the first inning, as you mentioned, Jack, with a strikeout to Lindsay Culver, the left fielder. Got her swinging. Here come the K-time chants. That one just fouled off a piece of the bat. It'll roll to the backstop, and the catcher will see another. Took one more, but there's strikeout number 2 for Gooden. 6 hits, came in to score 7 times, and was 3 for 4 on the base paths. But over the last 6 games, has recorded 5 more hits, come in to score 8 more times. And in fact, just to make it a little bit more concise, just going back to this past weekend, Jack, in the last 3 games, she's recorded 4 hits. And in that period of time, her batting average went up nearly 70 points from where it bottomed out at 194.
Yeah, she's been so great in the 9-hole for the Noles. Also a perfect 4 of 4 stealing the bases, what Flaherty does so well. But she's just been the leader and the voice of this program, and it's great to see her starting to find her stride again in her senior season.
Yeah, she has quietly been one of the most stable and consistent bats over the course of her career for Florida State. In fact, so quiet, somehow managed to not make the preseason All-ACC team this year, which I know I've said it a time or two. But again, that's one of my bigger head scratchers coming into the year. Ground ball here to second off the bat of Flaherty. She'll be retired at first. Nice play by Jarecki, the everyday second baseman for the Jacks. That'll turn the order over to Kaylee Mudge. And to the portion of the order that drew 4 consecutive walks. That's how the game started for Florida State. Mudge, first pitch swinging, grounds out to short. tell you what, Williams has come in and done a real nice job in relief.
Yeah, really good job for Williams, and expecting that role, of course, too. But again, going down 3-0 in the first inning, facing Flaherty and Mudge so far, too.
Jason E. Beecham jumping on the first offering by Williams.
That's a theme for Florida State all season, is the aggressive hitting, going after those first pitches. Saw it with Mudge, Flaherty. Better job from Williams putting that off the plate, trying to get Beecham to chase it.
Beecham in her first plate appearance drew a walk, came in to score off a 2 RBI single by her fellow freshman Issa Torres. Off the glove of Williams, and a nice play at short by Carrillo. That'll retire Beecham, and Williams goes 1-2, and strikeouts by their pitching staff. They earned the first win in program history versus a ranked opponent over Baylor. They won that one 5-2 over the Bears down in Waco.
And the first season for head coach Christina McSweeney, and I love what she told us too, Sean, pregame was, you know, the minute that she got to campus with her staff, they felt so welcomed by the entire team, and they felt like they were their coaches the whole time. And I think that's part of why they had the success that they did last year. But also just the program at South Dakota State as well. They've had a lot of success even before that, and they're trying to keep that success, but most importantly, sustain it.
Yeah, in case you're just joining us, that regular season conference title that South Dakota State did win last year was their 3rd in a row, and they'd won the 2 previous Summit League tournaments to earn an NCAA regional bid in each of those respective years, 2021, 2022, not to be last year, and that's been something that has been a bit of a sticking point, if you will, for this bunch. They don't do mottos, they don't do hashtags, but for a senior-laden group that has some unfinished business, the key has been, and the saying really has been the cliche that, you know, pressure is a privilege, but they classify that with you don't need to feel the pressure to be perfect. Just do what you do and do what you've done.
Absolutely, and they saw that last year and hoping for the same this year, and it's great that they get opportunities like here in Tallahassee and against Duke and a lot of other top 25 opponents and tough opponents down the stretch to really test your group.
Last year, the Jackrabbits played a decent number of Big 12 schools in their non-conference. This year, more of an SEC, ACC look. All part of that confidence and momentum building that they're seeking as they try to sustain success in Brookings over a period of, they imagine, 3 or 4 years. They want to try to consolidate that. They had a 4-run win at number 15 Arkansas on March 2nd, their 2nd ever win over a ranked team. As Williams swings through that one, might have caught a piece on the 1-2.
And they feel like they have a regional competing team right now. Of course, and that's the goal, is that sustained success, as you said too, Sean. It's over the years, keep that going, and even with the seniors they have now on this team, keep building up the culture within the program.
They feel if they can sustain it over a period of 3 to 4 years, that's where all of a sudden you start to maybe win some games in a regional, maybe a super regional happens, as Williams lines out to right field and Waycase are there. So that'll bring up Masterson at the bottom of the order for the Jackrabbits. Masterson, an experienced defender at 3rd, mans the hot corner well, has been great defensively for them this season. Batting south of 200 to this point, but has just simply been so good defensively that, I mean, you're going to have somewhere in the lineup for her. Senior from Hartford, South Dakota. Ball 1 to Cheyenne.
Saw it an inning ago, too, with Masterson. Came in charging on a ball, knocked off her glove at first, but was able to keep it in front of her and make the throw over to first for the out.
Kind of nice force play as well, the wherewithal to get Michaela Edenfield, the lead runner at the time, to step back on the bag instead of trying to rifle a throw to first. So Masterson's made a couple of nice plays already here in this game on the hot corner. She was on the 2022 Summit League All-Second team. Beecham takes care of business on the hot corner herself. So ground out to the freshman. Mimi Gooden looking to go 1, 2, 3 in consecutive innings here. Did walk Jarecki, who now steps into the plate to lead this game off. But aside from that, not much else doing. Jarecki is going to continue a nice day with a gapper here in the third. A double for the first hit of the game for the Jackrabbits.
And that's what Christina McSweeney loves with Jarecki at the top of the lineup for the Jackrabbits. Got great speed on the base pass, but also first pitch can put it into the gap, stand up double.
First real spot of bother for Mimi Gooden in this game here so far. It's been relatively smooth sailing, just the walk and now the double to Jarecki. Nothing else taking place here for the Jacks offensively. Here's a Kayla Barnard making her second trip to the plate. She popped out in foul territory. Jason Beecham ranged over to make the play. And that's a good piece of hitting. Around third comes Jarecki. She will score off consecutive doubles by South Dakota State.
There it is, just like Jarecki. Barnard also runs so well, gets a good piece. Able to put it right into left center. Jarecki comes all the way home, and the Jackrabbits got one on the board.
And down in the dirt, it's 1-0 to Emma Osmondson. And in comes the infield to have a chat with the young Mimi Gooden.
Gooden was really starting to roll too after the first couple of batters, but that next time around, he sees the balls and strikes so far. 28 strikes, 17 balls, a walk on her first batter, but then started getting ahead of counts. And now back around to the top of the order, starting to kind of figure her out a little bit more. So good for the infield to come in and settle things down for the freshman.
One earned run to this point for Mimi Gooden through 2 2/3 innings of work. There's her head coach and pitching coach, Lonnie Alameda, looking on. One out to get here in the third to run the potential second run off the field and limit the damage. Good spot there, strike one to Osmondson. One pulled foul off the bat. Osmondson flied out to right field back in the first inning. And Gooden perhaps as few as one pitch away from working her way out of a little jam here in the third. Instead, that's right back up the middle. A second run will come in to score for South Dakota State.
It's hard to keep Emma Osmondson quiet for too long. Off the end of the barrel, might have nicked Gooden, coming right back up the middle. But enough to get through and score another run for the Jackrabbits. They're hopping around and making this a one-score game.
That'll do it for Gooden. McKenna Reed will get the call to come in and relieve the freshman.
Well, we just saw Gooden, who likes to work lower in the zone, lower 60s, where McKenna Reed with that higher velo up into the zone. It's a good complement of one another and hope to get out of this inning.
Just one out to get for Reed as she squares off with the Jackrabbits cleanup batter, Lindsay Culver. Gooden worked through that first trip in the order relatively well. Just the one walk, a couple of strikeouts. Then when it turned back over with 2 outs here in the third, double RBI single. And here we are with McKenna Reed taking over. And you mentioned the improvement for Reed over the first 7 appearances, the ERA nearly at 5, but over the last 4, 1.15 over the combined 12 2/3 innings since. Just 7 hits, 2 walks, 14 strikeouts.
See it too. It's early into the season, of course, and going into your sophomore year, a lot of pressure. It's natural. You're going to put on yourself after the season you had as a freshman. So McKenna Reed starting to settle in. You saw on that graphic with the stats and getting back to that form that we saw her in last season.
Yeah, it's the weight of expectation and the combination of that and teams knowing who you are now and what you do and game planning based on film that they now have that you have to adjust to as a sophomore and beyond. And that has been the process for Reed this season. It's been a little bumpy at times, but we'll see if she can work through this. Pop up, that'll get out of play. Culver with the strikeout, batting average down to .358. Great numbers at the heart of the order here for the Jacks. They're trying to keep the party going. Top of the third, 2-out production for South Dakota State, 2 runs, and they will pass the bat along. Culver will walk on a full count. So here we go with the Carrillo sisters. Rosalind first, perhaps Jocelyn to follow. And Rosalind got underneath that one to center field. Playable for Harp. She'll take care of it, and that'll do it here in the top half of the third. A good top. Back here in Tallahassee. Ball 1 to Kaylee Harding as we get back underway at the Seminole Softball Complex. A doubleheader between South Dakota State and the 18th ranked Seminoles of Florida State. 2 2-out runs for the Jackrabbits in the top half of this inning have tightened things considerably as Alexa Williams goes back to the circle in her relief appearance, coming in to relieve a surprise starter in Shannon Lacey. First strike to Kaylee Harding. And, you know, Jack, I want to go back to something that their head coach, speaking of South Dakota State, their head coach, Christina McSweeney, told us about the win in Fayetteville. It came after a heartbreak, and then they started off the game, and they trailed, interestingly enough, 3-0 early to the Razorbacks. And at the time, it was Tori Kanishi in the circle, and McSweeney told us, she said, I looked her in the eye and I said, just give our offense a shot. She locked down the Hogs. They scored 7 runs, and they notched an upset. Similar situation here, different pitcher, down 3 runs early. Williams has kind of locked down the Noles, limited the damage in the first, 1, 2, 3 in the second, and now we'll see what she can do here in the third.
Yeah, I'm sure she got the same sort of pep talk from Coach McSweeney, but you would think she probably wasn't even expecting to come into this game originally with Kanishi scheduled to start. She could have gone all 7 innings or throughout this entire game, and so for Williams right now she went 1, 2, 3 an inning ago and holding up strong.
Oh, what a play there by Masterson on the hot corner. She has had herself a day. We're already 3 innings in. Strong throw to retire Harding down the line.
Yeah, really good. Harding coming with some power, gets it right off the hop and all the way outside of the line, able to make the throw across in time.
That'll bring up Michaela Edenfield. at Enfield, the 4th consecutive Seminole to walk to lead off their offensive efforts. That would walk in a run. 2 more would come in to score off the bat of Isa Torres, who is in the on-deck circle at the moment for Florida State. Edenfield notched a couple of home runs last weekend in Fort Myers, which brought her up to 37 total in her career, and she's quickly ascending the ranks in that department here all-time at Florida State. She's 1 away from Carson Gordon. She is now 6 away from Sydney Sherrill. Then the air starts to thin a little bit. You've got another gap before you get to Maddie O'Brien at 55, and then Jessie Warren's in a totally other stratosphere up in the 80s in her career. But Edenfield's certainly within striking distance if she notches a few more of those to maybe be as high as number 3 here by season's end. She's done a lot of that, though. A lot of folks know what she's capable of. I just sort of walked through the highest of highlights, and so a lot of folks have been careful, and she's walked a bunch.
Absolutely. Want to take no chances when facing off with Michaela Edenfield. And you've seen it today, and same story again with that at-bat.
Yet to register an official AB in this game. A couple of walks for the catcher. Isa Torres jumping on first pitch. Torres, the numbers offensively have been really strong for the freshman. 369, 17 driven in. On base exactly 40% of the time with a 400 on base percentage. And that will be snagged and left. Good piece of hitting, great defense by Culver, and Torres is retired. Tip the cap to the left fielder.
It's another phenomenal defender out in the left field is Culver. Very few errors a season ago. Good jump, able to make the play.
Freshman using the big part of the park. You keep doing that, things will turn out pretty well. Ross pulls this one to Culver, and she'll secure it. Williams works around third base and into left field. Hospitality above the hitting facility, down the right field line. A really cool look. They've got ideas on how they're going to continue to expand some of the decking even beyond the outfield over the years. So it's going to be real exciting to see how things continue to build here in Florida's capital city. Good start for Reed here in the top of the first. 1 pitch, 1 swing, 1 out.
Great atmosphere, getting even better. See the party decks right there. Left field. Extensions just put in this year, and what you said too, Sean, a decent crowd for an early afternoon game on spring break.
On a Tuesday, no less.
On Tuesday.
Here's the catcher, Brooke Dumont. Dumont with a strikeout in the second, put an end to a 1-2-3 inning for Mimi Gooden, who got the start for Florida State. This one's popped up. Flaherty calling everybody off. She's got it. And so that'll give way to Williams. Just 3 pitches through the first 2 Jackrabbits for McKenna Reed. Williams, who was an all-conference honorable mention a season ago, began her career at UTSA down in San Antonio, where she exclusively pitched. Numbers were all right, but she's come to Brookings and gone 2 ways. Swings the bat a little bit. Quickly 0-1.
I want to go back to your story too, Sean. Talk about giving your team a chance, not only what you can do in the circle, but also at the plate. Williams can help her own self out.
Florida State scored 3 runs in the first. South Dakota State with 2 in the third. They're actually out hitting the Noles 3-1. A lot of Florida State's damage done via 4 consecutive base on balls to start this game.
shows you the job that Williams has done since she's come into the game.
1 and 2. Boy, there's a song and a verse we've seen in her who they got a lot of work to do to get today against the Jackrabbits, but moving forward, the top 2 teams in team ERA coming to Tallahassee, Alabama tomorrow at .79, then Duke to open up ACC play at .73. What a tremendous job Marissa Young has done in Durham in just really 6 years. There was a pandemic in the middle of it, and Duke is storming up towards the top of the NCAA, not just in terms of team ERA, but as one of the more formidable teams in the country. In fact, hosted a super regional a season ago, as did the Seminoles of Florida State, who made their way all the way to the national championship series against the Oklahoma Sooners. No team arguably has been closer to notching another national championship during this unprecedented run by Patty Gasso and those Sooners out in Norman. And I want to just go back to, Jack, that's what's awaiting Florida State in terms of pitching. What they're dealing with here is an Alexa Williams who's, I know she's fallen behind 3-0 here, has done a really nice job coming in relief.
A really great job from Williams. Thrusted into that relief role a little bit earlier than she probably expected, but she's been handling all of these Seminole bats. And again, for the graphic we just saw, this week the Noles are going to be tested, those hot bats, and you know they've ranked 5th in the country in runs per game.
Nice piece of hitting there by Hallie Waycaser, going to the big part of the ballpark, and that's a leadoff base knock. And I want to go back to Williams too, Jack, just for a second. You know, she's largely pitched well this year, aside from one outing against Oklahoma State, where she went 2 2/3 innings, and the Pokes put up 7 earned runs. That really inflated the ERA. Aside from that, it's been 1 earned run, 2 earned runs, no earned runs. She's largely been solid all year.
And it's been what you're seeing out there today, and we prefaced it, so much movement on her pitch. It's hard for hitters to figure out what she is throwing. And we talk so much about the pitching, and you brought it up too, Sean. She's also great at the plate. I mean, she tied for the team lead in home runs last season and did a whole bunch of other things, but in the circle, she's really started to find herself this season, besides that one outing, and she's putting it on a show again today.
Yeah, you mentioned the home runs last year. She also bat .379 on the season. That'll work. And her ERA last year was just a touch above 3 at 3.02. So good to see Williams working away here in the 4th, but Florida State digging their heels in. Kennedy Harp, like Waycaser, ahead 3-0. She struck out her first trip to the plate. And will take a strike there. Leadoff single for Waycaser. That's Florida State's 2nd of the game. Bottom of the order trying to come through and set the table for Mudge, Beecham, Harding, etc. Big cut there. Throw down to second, and it got her. Oh, what a play.
Wow, DuPont, she's showing off the arm behind the plate. Dumont doing it right. That's what she does back there, and look at the location on this throw, too. Leads right into the glove and able to get the out at second. Phenomenal job.
And after the throw out, they get a strikeout of Harp. What a big momentum swing for the Jackrabbits. And Williams, who fell behind both Waycaser and Harp 3-0.
Williams is cooking, starting to feel it. Harp has got big swings for a freshman, just right over the top of that pitch from Williams, her 2nd of the day.
Here's Devin Flaherty. Ground ball to short. And it didn't look like this was where we were heading to start things off. But
making adjustments on Mimi Gooden. They were able to capitalize at the top of that order. It's what drove in those couple of runs. And now on the other side, McKenna Reed has come in and started to stabilize just a little bit for the Noles and keep this a game. But we've been talking about it, Sean Williams on the mound for South Dakota State. It's been great.
No play there for Amaya Ross. That ball was smoked up the line, and it got off her glove in a hurry. It'll go down as an E3. Kaylee Kardash coming in to pinch run at first. And that sets the table for Mia Jarecki. So here we go. This is the part of the order that did the damage against Mimi Gooden. And Jarecki is off to a great start. She walked off of Gooden in the first, was the only base runner that Gooden allowed the first time through the order. And then she recorded the double with 2 outs, no less, in the third to spark a 2-run third. Drives this one to center field. It's pushing Harp, and she'll make the play. First time Jarecki has been retired, and she got a hold of that one and hit it pretty darn well, no less. That'll bring up Barnard. Barnard, a player who has good numbers, especially for a freshman. Coming in, getting adjusted, now batting north of 260, runs the base as well. Hasn't been overly adept to steal, but every time she's tried, she has been successful. 1 for 2 today with an RBI double. She came in to score as well in the third. Nothing doing there, 1-1.
Different than what you've been calling out today too, Sean, for Barnard, the freshman. This pitch from McKenna Reed. Check out the spin on that ball, rises in the zone.
That bunt popped up and foul. It'll get into the FSU dugout. 1-2 the count to the freshman. You mentioned it, the only freshman in the lineup, heck, the only underclassman in the lineup.
It's pretty crazy. You go back to her first career game for the Jackrabbits, she had 2 hits, and with those 2 hits, both triples.
That's certainly a way to get things started as a D1 softball player. Oh boy, she got froze up there. What a pitch by Reed.
Velo really starting to become a problem for the Jackrabbits. Reed is starting to feel herself right now. Again, similar to what we just saw before, rising up in the zone. Leaves Barnard frozen.
So here's Emma Osmundson. Has the potential game-tying run stationed at first. This time lower in the zone for Reed. That's strike 1.
Check that out. Said it before, 4th in Division I in doubles. Phenomenal season early on for Osmundson.
32 hits also incredibly impressive. That one fouled away. And just like that, McKenna Reed could work her way around that opening E3 by going fly out, strikeout, strikeout. 0-2 to Osmundson. That'll get behind Edenfield. So Kardash will make her way into scoring position. That'll thicken the equation a little bit here for Reed. Two Osmundson facing a 1-2 from the sophomore.
That was close. Just inside the plate, and seen a lot of the high velo too from Reed's been developing that off speed.
lifted foul. Osmondson will see another. Reed with a couple of strikeouts, 1 walk issued. Has not allowed a hit in 2 innings of relief work. Trying to preserve the 1-run lead right here, top of the 5th. That one got away from Edenfield. Osmondson on the run to the bag, now coming home, and that will tie it. Emma Osmondson's gonna make her way to the open bag at third as well.
Wow. All over the diamond. I mean, a little bit of confusion from both sides right there. Osmondson almost didn't realize right away to run. She didn't take off out of the glove. Took her a couple seconds, then she started going. And heads up, base running right here. Edenfield behind the plate, and Beecham comes charging in. But now Beecham's at home. Who's on third? That allows Osmondson to come all the way over to third base. Keep up extra base hits. That's ruled a little bit differently here, but
yeah. So Emma Osmondson, off of a strikeout, no less, and a drop third strike, will advance to first, then advance all the way to third behind the play at the plate.
Don't see that too often.
Boy, oh boy, it is one of those days here at the Seminole Softball Complex. High drama indeed. So just in case you're scoring at home, I got the first part of it and basically the nutshell version for you. This is a 3-line description on our stat broadcast. Osmondson, as I mentioned, struck out swinging, reached first on a wild pitch, also a drop third strike, advanced to second on an error by the first baseman, then advanced to third on the throw home. Kardash advanced to third on that same wild pitch and scored on an error by the first baseman coming home to the plate. So all that, and we're tied with the potential go-ahead run stationed 60 feet away.
That hurts too when you did everything you wanted up in the zone, got Osmondson to chase it just a little too high and out of the reach and out of the glove of Edenfield.
Good pitch there by Reed.
Really good from Reed. She's just been missing that spot, and that's been the biggest thing with her this year, is not necessarily the command of her pitches, but control of the strike zone.
Edenfield tried to frame the 1-2. It goes ball 2 nonetheless.
Just missed it there.
Culver, who bats fourth, has walked and struck out in the third and then the first respectively. And that'll drop, and South Dakota State has taken the lead. A double for Culver, plates her teammate Osmondson.
That's what Lindsay Culver has done all season for the Jackrabbits, bringing home fellow teammate Osmondson. What a game so far. Anna stabs at it. Able to still power it into center field. All the way to the wall. Double for Culver.
How about this? They're just passing the bat. Carrillo will score another run. Culver comes in, and it's 5-3 Jacks.
Quick meeting at the circle for Florida State, but take a look at it.
She was safe at first on the throwdown, and And just heads-up base running by Cardash. She came in to score with the play occurring at first. She was in scoring position, rounded third, no problem. Play at the plate didn't get her, and Osmondson got to third behind the play at the plate.
And that's what's got to be so frustrating for any pitcher when you make that out, but you don't actually make the out. And as Lonnie Alameda preaches, just being present in the moment, so important for McKenna Reed right now in the circle to get this last out.
So as it stands, 3 runs scored, none of them earned, but every single one of them hurts for Florida State, who now finds themselves trailing by 2 to the Jackrabbits. 5 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, and the heart of the order has driven in 3 of those 5 here so far today. That one pulled foul. Rosalind Carrillo stationed at second after her RBI double. Her sister Jocelyn at the plate. She's 0 for 2, a ground out and a fly out to center field. She tried to hold up, but she didn't. That's another strikeout for McKenna Reed. But walk, 2 hits allowed, no runs have scored. She struck out 2, and even though it looked like Florida State was making things a little complicated for her in the most recent inning, she got a little help from her catcher, and she really did well after that point to limit Florida State's opportunities. The Noles top of the order due up here. Kaylee Mudge will lead things off, and FSU all of a sudden down to their last handful of outs, 9 to be specific for the Noles. Nothing in 2.
That's been it for Alexa Williams. Just so much control in the circle, working every part of the zone, inside and out, getting into spots like she is right now, ahead in the count, making things difficult for Florida State.
Bottom of the FSU order applied some pressure in the most recent inning. Hallie Waycaser pulled ahead in the count 3-0 and then singled into right field. Then Kennedy Harp pulled ahead 3-0, and on a strike to Harp, Waycaser tried to take second, was thrown out by Dumont, the catcher, on an absolute laser of a throw into scoring position. And right behind that, Harp struck out. And so from having nearly 2 runners on, Florida State had both of them eliminated. Ground ball back to Williams, who fields her position well, and Mudge is retired.
Everything really coming together right now for the Jackrabbits, Sean. Like you said, defensively, offensively, in the circle. Really starting to feel it with South Dakota right now. Building some momentum.
And so in steps Jason E. Beecham, jumping on the first one, deep in the hole. Play is to first, and it doesn't get her. Beecham beats the throw. Heck of an effort by Carrillo. Equally so for Beecham, who earns that bag.
Looks like we'll get a review.
It was a tight play at first. Call on the field is that Beecham is safe. I'll hold off on penciling in a score in the old Bob Carpenter scorebook. We'll take another look.
First pitch swinging for Beecham. Throw all the way across. That might be in time. Looks indeed so. It's like she had to that foot right back to the bag, Beecham, and I think that's going to be in time, Sean.
Certainly tight. And again, the call on the field is that Beecham is safe at first. It would would have to be indisputable video evidence to overturn that call. And you saw what is arguably our best angle at it right there.
Never mind for Florida State. It was close. Call stands.
And Annie Potter will pinch run for Beecham.
Very close. Almost simultaneously.
For folks who grew up playing diamond sports, you're familiar with the cliche, tie goes to the runner.
That's it.
Doesn't always work out that way. I think a lot of folks like to think it does. And if you're of the camp that believes that that was bang bang at the same time, in this case it did. Beecham is safe, Potter will pinch run, and Florida State gets a one-out base runner with Kaylee Harding at the plate.
It's situations like that. We take a look at Potter coming in on first. It's getting the runner on now, and an opportunity for Kaylee Harding. Potter to create some chaos on the base paths.
Harding got a hold of that one. That'll drop in fair. Potter will hold at third. Florida State's got runners in scoring position. Another double for Kaylee Harding.
That's what Ocho does. Extra base hits. Able to go down and get it down the left field line. Beautiful look, just stays in. And now for Florida State, you might not have expected it. You got 2 on, and you now can take the lead on one swing of the bat.
And guess who's stepping into the plate?
Someone that can change the game with one swing of the bat.
You got it. Michaela Edenfield is set to step in, and you have to wonder, some of this is surely to settle Williams down in a tight situation, and some of it too is going to be strategic. There is an open bag if they choose to put Edenfield there and not mess with the power that she possesses. We'll see how the Jackrabbits approach this. Edenfield has already walked twice today, only seen 1 strike in her prior plate appearances. Batting .333 with runners in scoring position. Well outside.
Safe on the first pitch again to Michaela Edenfield. We've seen her walk already a couple of times, but Williams taking no chances, especially like to be aggressive on the first couple pitches. Same spot outside off the plate.
Also a touchdown 2-0 to Edenfield, who with a walk in the first drove in her 23rd run of the season. That now equals 10th in the ACC. Both runners hold. Great job in the backstop by Dumont. Lost the ball, got back on top of it, found it in a hurry to hold. Potter at third and Harding at second. Boy, circle that if South Dakota State comes out of this inning in front. Nonetheless, Edenfield will walk. She's seen only 1 strike now through 3 plate appearances, and there is nowhere to put Isa Torres, who stepped into the plate in the first inning with the bases loaded and delivered a 2 RBI single.
And that's the thing with Florida State. An open base, they put Michaela Edenfield there now and load up the bases, but still a dangerous freshman in Isa Torres.
That one's up and away. Potter at third, Harding at second, Edenfield at first. And nerves ramping up aplenty. Torres golfs this into left field, it drops! Potter will come in to score, it's a single, the bases are still loaded, and the Noles are within 1. The freshman has driven in 3 of Florida State's 4.
How about that from the freshman, huh, Sean? You said it, just kind of went down and got it. You said almost golfs it out there off the end of the bat, slicing into left field. Just enough juice to drop over the outstretching Carrillo, and big situation for the Noles, trailing by 1. Ducks still on the pond.
Christina Hartley will come in to pinch run in place of Michaela Edenfield, so now it's Hartley stationed at second, sandwiched between Harding at third and Torres at first. All in place for Amaya Ross. Steps into the batter's box looking for her first hit of the game. A fielder's choice in the first, a fly out to left in the third for Amaya. And that's a good first pitch by Williams.
Really good first pitch from Williams coming inside. Ross kind of crowding the plate at the first. AB takes a step back now.
Ross batting a touch below 400 to this point this season. Great start for her. Tried to hold up, did not. 0-2.
Really good there from Williams. Goes inside first. Ross backs up just a hair and goes outside there.
Fouled that one away. She'll stay alive. First 2 seasons for Ross, batted .220, 16 driven in. This year, batting .408 with 13 driven in, nearly equaling what she did the 2 prior years of her career in the first handful of games this year alone. A testament to being patient, trusting the process, taking your time, waiting your turn, and making the most of an opportunity when you finally seize it. Good battle here by Ross.
It's a great story from Amaya Ross, and as you said, Sean, in those first two seasons, only 18 starts, now 20 already this year, and she's shown that work off in this season.
She leads the ACC in runs scored per game. Got a hold of that one, out to left field and gone! The Amaya Ross breakout party in 2024 continues with a granny against the Jacks.
Well, you want to talk about on cue, Sean. Right when you were talking about it, Amaya Ross delivers. No better time for Florida State. 4 home runs her first 2 seasons. Say hello to her 4th right here. Hands around. Known for her speed too, but shows the power into left field. And a grand slam.
Well, what an inning this has been. 3 in the top for the Jacks. 5 in the bottom for the Noles. For South Dakota State, and admirably they had the lead up until the Amaya Ross grand slam, and so now it's kind of back to business as usual. They expected a Kayla Barnard to step in here in game 1, and that she has. After Williams battled and was gritty and was tough, but Jack in the 5th, the dam broke.
The dam broke indeed, and head coach Christina McSweeney, a big fan of a Kayla Barnard too. You've seen her at the plate a couple of times, but in the circle, kind of similar to McKenna Reed, where she's got a really good up pitch and throws hard. Numbers from this season. Her 8th appearance today.
Still figuring it out. 3.92 ERA, but a 3-1 record for the freshman to this point.
Sean, I want to go back to think about how that inning started for the Noles. Jason E. Beecham hustling down the line on that bang-bang play. They went to review. She's called safe, adds an extra base runner for Florida State. And the damage ensued afterwards.
Second time in a row, Hallie Waycaser has made her way aboard. A single to start things off in the 4th, and now she walks on 4 pitches by Barnard and will be pinch run for by Autumn Belvi to keep things going here in the 5th. This is the 2nd inning that Florida State has sent at least 7 to the plate. They sent 8 to the plate in the 1st. And they will, I should correct myself, with Wade Kaser making her way aboard, they will send now at least 8 to the plate here.
There it is. They've done that a bunch of times already this season. Now the 14th game they've scored 8 or more runs. They only did that 22 times last year. Just shows you what this offense has been capable of this year.
And they're right at their season average, 8.05 runs per game. That leads the ACC and is 5th best in the entire country coming into today. And I guess it'll go down maybe a 10th or 2 if that score holds, but that's pretty darn good, at least through one game. Katie Dack, though, wants to do a little bit more damage as she steps in to pinch hit for Harp. First strike for Barnard. It goes to the pinch hitter, Dack. Dack, who has made 8 starts this season, all of them as the DP for the Seminoles. 3 of those 8 came last weekend in Fort Myers. She's a player that packs plenty of pop, plenty of punch in her bat, does Dack. Last year had 40 hits, nearly half of them went for extra bases. Somewhat surprisingly, she has a handful of hits, all of them singles to this point this season.
Oh yeah, does she got pop in her bat? Still trying to figure out early in this season still where she'll be defensively in that DP role or still behind the dish.
Throw down to second, and there's another throw out. My goodness. Dumont has thrown out a pair of Noles in scoring position today.
Hey, we mentioned it before, and helping her team right now. On a rope that was. Look at this. Perfect spot to throw that ball. Makes it so easy for Carrillo. Get over and make the tag.
So Belvi will now be replaced at first effectively by Dack, who works the walk. It's just Florida State won't have a runner in front of her. That could have been Belvi at second. Danley, two-way player for Florida State, is set to check in here in the 5th. She started a number of games in the circle. She's a utility type player who has even started in the outfield once this year. Travis Wilson having a word with our home plate umpire, Derek Wilkins, walking him through all the adjustments and substitutions and the jostling all the way through the lineup for Florida State. They've sent a number of pinch runners in, so a lot to keep track of as Danley will now step in place of Devin Flaherty. The Noles will bat through the order here in this inning.
Sean Weed opened up the broadcast with these Noles, especially last weekend, coming from behind to win games, and you're seeing it again here today. Got out in front, fell behind, working their way back with a very, very big bottom of the 5th.
Boy, that one clipped Danley. High and tight, and too tight, in fact, to number 11. And it only takes one offering for her to be stationed at first.
First pitch. I was close to, just got a piece of Danley.
Kaylee Mudge set to step in. And it looks like we're going to have maybe some Subs coming in here welcome Alabama and start off ACC play with the Duke team that South Dakota State just played. But the focus right now on each other. Florida State trying to pad what's now a 3-run lead as the order turns over to Kaylee Mudge, who started this inning off with a ground out right back to the then pitcher, Alexa Williams. She was followed up by a hustle single by Jason E. Beecham, a double dropped inside the line all the way into the left field corner by Kaylee Harding. Edenfield walked on 4 pitches. Torres drove in a run with another single. A grand slam by Ross busted it open. Waycaser walked. Dak walked. And now Danley hit by a pitch. There was a runner thrown out at second in the middle of that. And so that was the second out to go along with Mudge's ground out. But the Noles have passed the bat effectively up and down the order here in this inning. And now Mudge herself represents the 10th Nole to come to the plate. And it's 3-1 to the left fielder. Sharply hit, line drive, that'll drop. And Florida State will keep the party rolling here. Harp will score. Tight play at second. But Danley was able to scamper back just in the nick of time.
That's Mudge doing Mudge things right there. Knocking home a run. Into the opposite field. Brings home Kennedy Harp in time, and you said it, Sean. Ashton Danley almost got caught on second. To hustle back in.
Some tack on a ribby for Kaylee Mudge. Florida State leads by 4. They can get on you just that quickly. That one's going to get away from Dumont. And as good as she has been behind the plate, that one escapes a reach, and both runners advance into scoring position.
And also just a really good read, too, from Danley out there. Right when that pitch hit off the glove of Dumont back there, she took off running.
Strike on the corner to Jason E. Beecham. Florida State as a team with 5 hits in this inning. They came into this inning with 2 hits over the previous 4. One, 2. Nice piece of hitting by the freshman. And the Noles will tack on 2 more. Mudge beats the tag, and Florida State has quickly put up an 8 spot here in the 5th.
Now their season average in 1 inning. Not bad for Florida State, and the freshman just continuing to do what she has done all year. Reaches down, slices it into right field. Able to work all the way to second, bring home 1 in a close play, actually, at the plate. Kaylee Mudge looks like she was in time. Florida State is packing it on.
So a 2 RBI single for Beecham, and the Noles lead it by 6. Pitch and change in Tallahassee. We'll be back after this. Freshman from Kansas City, Missouri, heads to the circle to try to slow down the freight train. 3 prior appearances. Nice ERA, 1.40 through 5 innings of work. 5 walks, though, to only 4 strikeouts. That'll be something to keep an eye on. And as I say that, she starts off Kaylee Harding with strike 1.
Starting to get more work as the season's going on. 3 innings pitched. Her last time out, 3 strikeouts, only allowed 1 hit.
Harding with a double in this inning. Walked in the first. so grounded out in the third. Florida State with Mudge, Beecham, and now Harding coming to the plate. This is now starting their fourth trip through the order in 5 innings.
Oh no, dead armor right there. Just hit her right there.
And there is a potential here. If Harding gets a hold of one, that after trailing by 2, Florida State could call game. Not to be there. It's a pop-up. It's over here in the 5th. And at every spot in the order, they got somebody aboard. Now, there were some pinch hitters, and the first time Mudge came to the plate, she grounded back out to Alexa Williams. And then so some of that occurred as they started that second trip. But 1 through 9, everybody made their way aboard in some way or another for Florida State. They can get on you. They can get on you quick. They're one of the most elite offenses in the country. And now they go back to the field and they play a little defense, and they got a 6-run lead in their pocket.
Yeah, they kept pouring it on, and they did a little bit of everything in that inning. Singles, extra base hits, home runs, walk. I mean, everything you got to do that led to an 8 spot. Now a commanding lead for Florida State.
Brooke Dumont, the catcher, is 0 for 2 today, as South Dakota State goes 7-8-9 to kick things off here in the top half of the 6th. Dumont's put in a solid day's work in the backstop already. Has thrown out a couple of runners, stayed on top of a ball that at the time, with the potential tying runs in scoring position, if you get out of it, you circle that and go, man, one of those could have scored, things could have snowballed. As it occurred, Florida State just kept the bats going, and they passed the bat along, and it ended up not really being a big thing. But in the moment, it sure felt big that Dumont was able to make another quality play in the backstop.
Absolutely, you called it out, and
softly hit here to short. Torres, sidearm, money.
But for Dumont's credit, too, I mean, she's played a bunch of great plays behind the plate. Those 2 freshmen right there have been having a good day with the bats, too.
And they fielded the ball cleanly on that left side of the infield. There have been the occasional error, particularly early on, but they have really fielded their respective positions well. Hot at the plate, solid in the infield. Beecham and Torres over there playing at third and short respectively, as Alexa Williams gets started off here with a strike.
Really new infield for Florida State, and Devin Flaherty, the leader at second, helping out those 2 freshmen.
Yeah, Flaherty checking back in after being pinch hit for by Ashton Danley. Harp making the move to left field now for Florida State, with Mudge rotating to center. Autumn Belvi, the new right fielder for the Noles, in place of Hallie Waycaser. Go 2 above the zone to Alexa Williams. There's Belvi out in right. Another strikeout for McKenna Reed.
Good response from McKenna, and again, none of those runs earned last inning. Swinging right underneath it, what Reed does so well with that upspin she possesses, and go through the inning she did at the top of the 5th. Work through that wild play. Strikeout brought Jackrabbits all the way to third, but Reed settling in, and now, thanks to her offense, 6-run lead.
Yeah, 3 runs scored for South Dakota State in the 5th. None of them earned or charged to Reed. That having been said, when you lead going into the inning and you come out of it perhaps trailing, it would have been Reed who would have been in line for her first loss of her career.
Oh, yeah.
Not to be, at least for the moment, unless South Dakota State has more fireworks in store for us. She's retired 12 of 15 faced, and all the chaos that occurred an inning ago occurred after a drop third strike that should have ended the inning.
And that's just, ever since Gooden came out, it seemed like we talked about it in the third inning. They started to kind of figure out Mimi Gooden and what she was throwing, and the velo from McKenna Reed's been tough for the Jackrabbits.
Masterson just caught a piece. McKenna Reed came in to put an end to things in the third. It's been hers in the circle ever since. That one too high. Another one up.
Good job from Masterson, staying patient, loads the count, and the righties, Reed loves that top outside corner of the zone.
That one spoiled by Masterson. Reed, who, as we mentioned earlier, has been coming into her own a bit. Numbers, the ERA, crashing back down slowly but surely toward where they were last year. Now down into the low threes. Little struggle early on for Reed to get the season started, but did have a season-high strikeouts against Purdue last weekend. That was 7, but that is less than ideal there for McKenna. 2 out walks have from time to time come back to hurt teams all across America in the past. You hate to take that right there. And it also compounds because you've put her on base and turned the order over to Jarecki, who was just retired for the first time an inning ago. And she jumps on the first one, straight away center. Hart back in center, and she secures it. By 2. And in those first 4 innings, by comparison, they were 2 for 13.
It's crazy. It felt like all the momentum was building for the Jackrabbits to keep that lead. They were making so many plays defensively and with the bats, and then Florida State says, hold up, wait a minute. Bottom of the 5th just took over.
Haley Herman, the freshman, has come into the circle. She actually got South Dakota State out of the 5th inning. Found a way to retire Kaylee Harding. Goes off speed there with the change to Edenfield, and she's really the first Jackrabbit to work ahead of Michaela Edenfield today. Edenfield only saw 1 strike before this. On the ground here to third, Masterson makes the play, and how about Herman coming into the circle and looking pretty good?
Yeah, what a pitch right there, and you see it. You said it, Sean. I mean, Edenfield hadn't seen strikes all day, and so she wasn't even expecting with it, and then goes right at her with that changeup, just completely froze her, and has to go down and reach on that pitch, and good job from Herman in the circle.
And might I say, I know this is low-hanging fruit, a masterclass by Masterson on the hot corner.
There it is.
There she is. Seriously, though, she's really fielded her position well. How about this play up the middle? And wow, she got her. Ho, ho! Carrillo somehow corrals the bobble, sidearms to first, and gets Torres down the line, who did not slow up one bit.
Man, the left side of this infield has been fantastic all day. You saw Masterson, and now Carrillo able to field, turn, and throw. What you said, Sean, Torres was speeding down the line. Great play from Carrillo right there.
Well,
0-1 now to Amaya Ross. That came in and caught her on the knee.
an 11-run 5th inning will do that to you.
That one just got away from her.
Hallie Waycaser will be reinserted into the lineup. Autumn Belvi, who typically comes in as a defensive sub and will pinch run, checked in for her. In just that respect, players can be reinserted, so Waycaser for her bat will step back into the box with her teammate Amaya Ross stationed at first. Florida State has the potential to perhaps call game here after the 5th, after the 6th inning. If a team leads by 8 or more, that's it. So Waycaser represents the potential game-winning / walk-off run here if she gets a hold of one. What a play by T-Will. Left side of the infield and apparently into the third base box, just flexing on us here.
Just keeping it going. How about this? A one-handed snag.
Travis Wilson, who played all the way up into AAA baseball in the Braves organization, I believe was also a pro fast pitch player back in his native New Zealand. Just a tremendous addition to, oh, he's just being coy. Just a little wink and a shrug. Ho-hum over here with the bare hand grab.
That's light work for him.
But really, as tremendous as Lonnie Alameda has been with Florida State's pitching, whether it has been T-Will and Craig Snyder for a number of years, or now T-Will and the man they call T-Cam, Troy Cameron, they have engineered effective offenses year in, year out. And here we go. Waycaser into the gap, into left center field, and Florida State's got him on the corners. No let up by the Noles here in the 6th.
Right as you're talking about it, Sean. Waycaser does it, what they've been doing the last 2 innings.
Here's Kennedy Harp. A couple of strikeouts and a walk for Harp. That one well above the zone. Held off. It pays off. 2-0. Harp from Lawrenceville, Georgia, the number 10 overall recruit, ranked as the number 5 outfielder in the 2023 class by extra innings softball. Florida State with the number 3 class overall. Nice play coming out of the circle by the freshman, who retires her fellow freshman Harp at first and puts an end to the 6th.
That really got away, and to her credit, some of it really wasn't even her fault. And you have to come back out now and bunker down, and she was able to retire the side an inning ago, and it's looked good today.
Certainly has, and you mentioned it, the drop third strike was actually on what would have been the final out of the inning, and so not only that, but then it led to a play at the plate, and Masterson, who did strike out, made her way all the way around to third, and a whole lot of things happened from there on, and none of the runs that scored were earned. They all hurt for the moment for Florida State, and then all of a sudden the Noles just, I mean, hammered balls into places that I'm not sure that mankind has explored. 8 runs for the Noles in response in the bottom of the 5th. Nothing doing for either side in the 6th, and now South Dakota State's down to their final 3 outs here in the top of the 7th. It'll be a Kayla Barnard to kick things off. She's behind the count 1-2. And that'll equal the season high for Reed. That's 7. It equals what she did against Purdue in Fort Myers last weekend.
That rise ball has been so good for McKenna today. That's her spot, left side of the zone, outside for righties. No chance for Barnard. Reed knows it.
And in case you're keeping track, her career high is 9, so it is within the realm of possibility that if she strikes out the side, she could equal that here in this particular relief appearance. Not to be, but it'll be an out nonetheless. Ground ball to Flaherty, 2 up, 2 down. And in case you're just joining us at home and you're checking out what Florida State looks like here in 2024, and maybe you just popped on the app a little late, good news for you. You get to see them again. They'll take on South Dakota State roughly 30 minutes after this game ends, a doubleheader between the Jackrabbits and Florida State. We will carry that for you right here on ACC Network Extra. FSU will likely look to go 17-5 in that one. Reed with 7 strikeouts now, I believe, for a season high. Let me correct my math, it's 6. I think I credited a good and K to McKenna.
Still a pretty good number, though, for McKenna. It goes back again to what you were saying, the last couple of weeks really starting to get back to that form that we saw from her in her freshman season.
1-2 to Culver. Elevated to left field, pushing Mudge to the wall, and that'll do it. Florida State led early,